Welcome to a debate with a difference. After 5 years of being in this building, they finally had the nerve to leave us on our own. Are you looking forward to it?
I am, as long as I don't get me P45 in the morning, so make sure it works.
So, only place to start. We've been sat here in this building talking about the merits of the transfer window in January. Is it noise? Sceptical about it? How would you explain £419.5 million?
Well, I think the spend in January is normally explained by the teams at the bottom panicking. That's the only word you can use. Managers getting sacked, taking a chance on a player, giving someone big wages, paying a big loan fee in the hope someone will get you 7 or 8 goals that will keep you in the division. That's to be expected. The big difference this season has been what the top 6 have done in the transfer market. If you throw it in now, and yes, we look at the major signings, 9, a bigger number than we normally see, 281 million at the top. The biggest difference is if you look last season, the top 6 spent 100 grand. Now, why has it become this season 281 million? Is there now a panic at the top of the division about getting into the top 4? Is it the fact that the Sanchez signing made a domino effect where someone had money, then someone had to react? And maybe it's showing the fact there's actually the pressure at the top of that league. If they don't get top 4, managers could lose the job. So we're actually seeing panic at both ends of the Premier League.
I mean, I look at it and I think about the boardrooms that have sanctioned that spend in the January window. And the owners haven't changed. But we wanted big managers in this league. And I look at Pep, I look at Jose, I look at Klopp, Conte. And I think even Wenger and the pressure that Arsenal have come under in terms of making signings. And I think the boardrooms might be getting bullied. Because I think if Pep goes up to that boardroom and says, I need more money to maintain where we are to try and win the Champions League, are they going to say no to him? Because they can't lose Pep Guardiola. Manchester United at this moment in time can't afford to lose Jose Mourinho. They're giving him a new contract. I need more money to make us the best that we can be. And I'm not sure at this moment in time, I think the power's in the dressing room. Managers are getting sacked after 18 months, 2 years. They know they've got to make an impact straight away. And I think we're seeing a sign now of these powerful, strong managers really having a big influence on these boardrooms and these owners.
But we've always said and always felt it was a risk signing someone in January. Do you still think it is the case and that managers are now prepared to take that risk because jobs are more precarious?
Well, we've seen suggestions in the last couple of weeks that a player gets injured for 5 or 6 weeks, that we have to sign someone. So the panic that you're talking about, I think does exist. That Manchester United think, City are going to get Sanchez, I've got to get him off them. I can't let them have another player. So I think there is that sort of reaction. I always think the best transfer windows are the ones where they're planned. They're constructed well in advance. You think about sort of doing your business in sort of August transfer window. You do it in February, March, where you plan for what you're going to do in the summer, 4 months in advance. What I've seen in the last few weeks from clubs, I'm not quite sure has been planned. So if I'm looking at sort of this transfer window, I'm seeing that I think managers have got more power, the big managers, the big characters, you can't upset them. And I think that the owners are reacting to individual circumstance, not being in the top 4, got to win the Champions League, etc.
Do you think there's pressure from supporters? It's always been there. I'm thinking even more like sort of social media now. It feels when someone signs a player, it's almost like not far off winning a trophy. You see that Sanchez was playing a piano. There's all this thing about social media, getting something out on Instagram about this big sign, and it's like fans are so happy to see a signing in, rather than, is it the right sign or will it actually work?
One thing I would say is that patience has gone completely. Fans do want more signings. Fans have always been sort of stimulated.
But it feels more now. I don't know if it's to do with social media, this type of sort of buzz around a sign.
You need to come off it. Anyway, thinking about what about your club? What about your club? I mean, they didn't get involved in the scurry at the end in terms of the deadline day stuff, but they did earlier on, obviously, big signings. Can it be a good transfer window for Liverpool, losing Coutinho?
No. I think if you lose your best player, there's no way you can dress it up as a positive window, really. Certainly in January as well. I think every Liverpool fan, myself included, when Philip Coutinho stayed in the summer, felt, OK, we know he's going next season. Let's enjoy this 12 months. Probably similar to Ronaldo, similar to Luis Suarez. You always felt that was going to happen. To lose him mid-season, no, I don't agree with it. That fee, Philip Coutinho was not worth that. He's not that good. I would have took £20, £30 million less in the summer to know that Liverpool would have had him for the second half of the season, because at that time, still in the FA Cup, still a Champions League to play for.
Why did they get rid of him? Was he going to do a Mahrez and not turn up? Or?
Well, that was what Klopp was hinting at. My problem with that, listen, he knows better than anyone. He trains with him every day, sees him around the place. My problem with that is when he stayed in the summer, I think he's actually played his best Liverpool performances have come in these last 3 or 4 months till the January transfer window. Now, was that to keep Barcelona interested for the World Cup? Why would that change from January to the end of the season? And I don't think any player should expect to go in January. I think Coutinho probably expected to go next summer, but Jurgen Klopp's made that decision. Who knows if he would have been a bad influence, but in those 3 or 4 months he wasn't.
I'm looking at that list there, those ins and outs, and it's gone under the radar. It obviously was reported. And I look at Sturridge, and people say, oh, Daniel Sturridge isn't playing for Liverpool anymore. It's not a big loss. Firmino gets injured for 2 months. Liverpool in the Champions League, they're trying to get to top 4. Danny Ings and Solanke. Were they wise to let him go, Daniel Sturridge? I'm not sure that it just seemed like a crazy one to me for massive risk.
I don't think it's a problem letting Sturridge go. I think he was actually falling down the pecking order behind Solanke. But is Solanke and Danny Ings good enough as backup right now for Liverpool? No. Liverpool is short there. But that's not because Daniel Sturridge moved on. Maybe because the quality behind Firmino isn't there. I mean, we keep looking at Daniel Sturridge and we always go back to that season when Liverpool nearly won the league. That's not the Daniel Sturridge of today. There's a reason why he's gone to West Brom, bottom of the league. That's where Daniel Sturridge has ended up, unfortunately for his career. And when he was on form, when he was fit, he was one of the best strikers in England. Maybe the best striker in England. I think going into the tournament after that season, I think he scored in the tournament against Italy. He was top class, but that's 3-4 years ago. He's a completely different player now. Yes, have they got enough quality behind the main striker? No, but I don't think Sturridge leaving makes any difference with that. But that's the attack we're talking about. Yeah. The big difference is actually getting Van Dijk in, and I think that will prove to be a great signing. It's a huge fee, but he hasn't hit the ground running.
You sure about that, yeah?
No, I think he'll be a good signing. I think he will. He hasn't hit the ground running. He looks like he still needs to get fit, actually lose a little bit of weight, actually looks too big at this moment. Maybe that's to do with not having the pre-season, playing too many games for Southampton, but that's the big debate. You're actually taking attacking players away from Liverpool and adding defensive strength that they lacked and giving that maybe a bit more balance, but what will work out in the end?
Look, we need to get off your lot, but are Liverpool in a better position to finish in the top 4 post-transfer window or before it?
No, I don't think they are. I personally think Liverpool will finish in the top 4, but I think they've had a better chance if Philip Coutinho was there.
Right, on to Manchester City. A good transfer window?
I mean, yes. I mean, they brought a player in where I think they were short in Laporte. I mean, Mangala was never good enough for Man City. Kompany is unfortunately probably at that stage of his career where Man City may be thinking of actually moving him on in the summer, really. But he is a player, when you think of him and John Stones, maybe Otamendi, the 3 of them going for those 2 positions. And, I mean, I don't know too much about him. You know a lot more about me, and, you know, you've got clips of him to bring in. You know him from Spain. I mean, is he suited to the Premier League? And do you think he could actually, going forward, be a partner for John Stones, or are they too similar?
Well, look, I mean, I was in Spain a very short period of time.
How long?
4 months. But 3 of my games...
Felt like 4 weeks.
3 of my games were against Bilbao. Europa League quarterfinals and a league game. 21-year-old kid, obviously they'd done the video work on him before the game. And obviously when you coach a team, you're on the sideline, you're concentrating on your own team. But I have to say, he stood out an absolute mile. Composure, reading of the game, absolutely brilliant on the ball. And to me, I thought at the time, what a player this lad is. And this was the bit, just the recovery, but he always looks in control, gets his body in, doesn't sort of dive in a rash manner. Fantastic on the ball. Honestly, steps into midfield. I mean, he's perfect for Pep Guardiola. In terms of if you ever thought of a defender, you mentioned whether he fits into the City team sort of alongside John Stones or...
Well, would the way you've sort of spoken about him, would that not be too similar to John Stones? Because when I think of sort of centre-back partnerships, you'd always think of one who's maybe good on the ball, the other one who's a bit of a wins the ball in the air. Would they be too similar?
Look, if I was talking like a 42-year-old Mancunian who thinks traditionally about the Premier League, you need a strong centre-half, you might need a ball player.
Why can you speak about the Premier League any other way?
No, but you know, you think about that, but then you think what Pep's done. You think about 2 Champions League finals with United, Yaya Toure and Piqué, Mascherano and Piqué, and you think, God, they won a European Cup. Not just won a European Cup, they're the best team by an absolute mile. Pep's rewriting what you genuinely think about football in terms of who's partnering who should play, how you should split your centre-backs to 2 yards off the byline. So if any other club were playing with Laporte and Stones at centre-back, I'd be concerned. If anyone can get the best out of them, it's him. He's totally... He believes in his philosophy, his values, playing out from the back. It's the most important thing. Mangala isn't great on the ball, but he's a competitive defender. But those two together would be interesting. If it Burnley on Saturday away, that'd be an immediate test for Laporte to see whether he could actually adapt. It's going to take some time, but he is a fantastic player. I think it will be a great signing.
Listen, we had the debate on Monday Night Football about Sanchez going. So City never got Sanchez. They've had a sort of last-day goal for Mahrez. How do you see that situation?
I think City in the last 4 or 5 years have, to me, been the most calculated, the most controlled, somewhat planned in the boardroom. I think of Begiristain, Soriano. To me, they always look like they know what they're doing next. There's no sort of what would be immediate reaction. For the first time, probably, I didn't understand them not upping their offer on Sanchez. I still can't get my head around that.
But that's gone. What about Mahrez?
So Sanchez doesn't come off. You think, OK, I get that. They've stood the ground. I'm not quite understanding of the Mahrez situation in relation to a play. They don't strike me as the type of guys who have woke up on a Sunday morning after Sané getting injured on a Saturday and thought, oh, he's got injured for 5-6 weeks, we now need to spend 60 million.
Yeah, but surely with Sané getting injured and then sort of looking at it, the doctors looking at it, it's longer than first thought. I think he is a player they've looked at in the summer. I don't think it's just sort of all of a sudden a panic of, right, let's get someone who Mahrez is available. I think it's someone he's obviously liked. They've looked at it in the summer. And why not? If Sané's out for a long time... Listen, we know they've got the league in the bag. If they've got one more game away from getting 2 trophies in the bag, they could end up doing something very, very special. Actually winning 4 trophies, maybe what you've done yourselves, winning a treble. Why would you sort of leave a player like Sané being out and maybe miss someone in a Champions League semi-final, quarter-final and think, we could have used Mahrez in that game if it cost them 50, 60 million?
Clubs don't tend to react to a player getting injured and spend 60 million within 2 days. Look, I get your explanation. What you're saying is, do you think the tactic then of bidding for Mahrez so late on was a tactic to try and just nick him away from Leicester?
No, I think it's all to do with Sané's injury. I think if Sané doesn't get injured, they won't go for Mahrez.
I don't feel like they're the type of people that would do that type of thing. I genuinely don't. The idea that they wake up on a Sunday morning after a game where Sané gets injured, Pep Guardiola, Soriano, Begiristain, get on the phone to each other.
But don't you think they would have been in for Mahrez before that? Listen, what I mean is I don't think they've just gone, let's go for Mahrez. He's obviously a player they looked at in the summer. I think Pep Guardiola mentioned that. We looked at it in the summer, we've tried in January, and we'll possibly try again in the summer. He's obviously a player he likes. I don't think it's a case of waking up Sunday morning and think, who can we get?
No, it was surprising to me. It just came out of the blue. I know they looked at him, but it came out of the blue that they've gone from so late in the transfer window. In my mind, De Bruyne could play on the right. You've got Bernardo Silva. You've got players that could fill in for 5 or 6 weeks. I get the point around them going for multiple trophies. It might be that they've got injury news that we don't know about as well. It might be that Sané is worse than we thought. Jesus hasn't quite developed the way in which we thought, and they're a little bit worried. But it didn't feel as planned as it had been in the past from Manchester City. That would be my only point.